The nurse ushered us into a tiny room, Tamara, Savannah, and my parents. The physician's assistant, the nurse, a physical therapist, a social worker, and finally the doctor filled the remaining space until we could barely move. Though the room was full of people, it was cold. The doctor greeted us and asked us to recite our tale. We told him how Savannah was born in Morocco, how she'd been pulled into this world with forceps because she'd gotten stuck, how she'd come out with the umbilical cord around her neck, how she'd been bluish, how her APGAR scores were low. He shined a penlight in Savannah's eyes, measured her head circumference, length, width, weight. He tapped her knees, stood her up and watched her fat legs make no attempt to do anything. After the assessment, he said, "Savannah's not progressing properly for her age." "Microcephaly," he said. Tamara said, "What's that?" "Microcephaly means her head's too small." "I don't understand." "It's an indicator of possible issues with the brain." "You mean like she'll be retarded?" Tamara asked. "At this age, children aren't labeled with that diagnosis. She's developmentally delayed. But yes, as she gets older, mental retardation is a real possibility. She needs to see a neurologist and have an EEG and an MRI to know exactly what we're facing." I looked at Tamara, who was tearing up. My mother held Savannah. The social worker talked to us about services. I couldn't understand her. So, is this what social workers do? I'd never met one before. Her words made no sense. Why did Savannah need services? What kind of services? I wanted to know more about my child's condition. I wanted answers, not referrals to support groups and case management. The appointment was taking longer than I anticipated. I said, "I have to get to my teaching job. What do we, The doctor said, "You need a good pediatrician. I'll get you the number of my former partner. He isn't taking new patients right now, but I'll make sure you get in." "Thank you," Tamara said. Her eyes were wet and red. She wiped them with the tips of her fingers. "But he sounds expensive," I said. "It doesn't matter," Tamara said. "We'll do whatever we have to do. We don't have health insurance." I had to go, get to work, earn money. As I edged through the crowd toward the door, Tamara asked, her voice choked and labored, "So, what do we do now, doctor?" He gave us the wisest advice we ever received, but we weren't ready to understand it. Our world was collapsing around us. We wanted step-by-step procedures to walk us through this new landscape. We wanted a guidebook. We needed to know how to feed this child who refused to eat, get her to stop the incessant crying, get her to sleep. We needed help with her seizures. We needed relief. We wanted tangible actions, directions, anything we could use. Instead, he gave us an abstraction, advice that sounded trite and wholly inadequate. We just didn't understand. Couldn't. Not in the moment. We were too raw, too desperate. But over the years, we kept coming back to his words. They became our mantra, especially during the darkest times. They gave us something to center us when we face the most difficult decisions parents ever have to make. He said, "Just take her home and love her."